Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen, if you feel too warm, you'd like to take your jackets off, that's quite all right. Ladies will have to suffer. Before I begin, just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. So we'll start. Apologies for absence.
Yes, Mr Mayor, apologies for absence from Councillors Beverley and Owen Egan, Councillor Tom Skip and Councillor Colin Riley.
Thank you. Members' interests. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Fulton.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to declare an interest as instructed that my home address is adjacent to the development site in the emerging local plan. I do not consider that this requires I should be excluded from debate or voting on the local plan following the direction given to ex-councillor Fort by the monitoring officer at the special council held in March. However, the monitoring officer has confirmed in his email that my participation in local plan examination hearings speaking against the local plan constitutes a conflict of interest, and the email goes on to state that I have been told I cannot participate in the vote on the local plan. Therefore, I will be adhering to the monitoring officer's direction and will leave the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other members' interest? Mrs Fulton.
Thank you. Similar to Councillor Thornton, I'd like to state that I have an interest in that my house is adjacent to one of the sites, but I don't consider that that's now relevant after what was the information that was given to Councillor Full. However, the monitoring officer has stated in his email that my participation in a Facebook group that has campaigned against the local plan constitutes a conflict of interest, and the email goes on to state that I have been told I cannot participate or vote in the local plan. Therefore, I will be adhering to the monitoring officer's direction and will leave the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor.
Mr Mayor, if I can just clarify a matter. The monitoring officer does not issue any instructions to members whether they can participate or not. The obligation is placed upon them to take the decision upon advice.
Thank you, sir. Any other interest?
Councillor Sharon Ainsley. I do live on the Jotman's estate. I don't live adjacent to or close proximity to H09. Just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, Councillor Fulton.
Thank you. I do have an email that says I have been told, which gives me a conflict now as to what I'm supposed to do. And at the last special meeting, following on from that, I was excluded from the vote. So for consistency, I will be excluding myself again today.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Nope.
No? Right, passing on. Notice of motion. This is a special meeting of the Council and has been scheduled to bring forward for debate the notice of motion deferred from the ordinary Council meeting held on the 23rd of March. Members, before us we have a report presented to the Cabinet of resource implications on the motion, which has been referred to inform the debate on the motion. Before proceeding with the debate, I'm going to ask the Chief Executive to present the report to you to set the context. Mr Kiln, will you please report to the Council?
Mr Mayor, Councillors, this meeting, as the Mayor says, is to debate the motion. The report before you is as a result of the Constitution, whereby a motion is referred to Cabinet for consideration of any implications of a motion before Council debates it. The paper is there for your background information, not necessarily for a debate about what's in the paper itself. And I would encourage you to debate the content of the motion rather than the details of the paper. The paper is there for you to bear in mind as we move through the discussion on the motion. Thank you very much.
Councillor Gibson, as the mover of the motion, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the consent of the Council, under the Council Procedure Rule 15.7, I wish to alter the motion. A copy of the alteration has been circulated and the altered motion reads as follows. The local plan examination has now been completed and the local plan has not been adopted. We call on the Council to withdraw the local plan immediately and start work on a new local plan that reflects the central government's stated aim to protect and to preserve the precious green belt in our local area. A priority of this new local plan would be to produce a target housing number that genuinely reflects local need. As this housing target will be lower than previous proposals, this must be supported by robust evidence. All housing developments should prioritise brownfield development. We hope that in the interest of our borough, this motion is supported on a cross-party basis. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Does the seconder, Councillor Mountford, agree with the alteration?
Agreed. I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, you are asked to consent to the alteration of the motion. If this is agreed, debate will take place on the altered motion. Is the alteration agreed? May I have a show of hands? It is agreed. Have we any against? No abstentions? Fine. We will debate the motion. Councillor Gibson, as the mover of the motion, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing further to add at the moment, but I would like to reserve the right to come back if need be.
Okay, agreed. Councillor Mountford, the seconder. Following the debate, allow Gibson. Do you wish to say anything on it?
I would like to reserve the right to speak at the end. Thank you.
Okay, agreed. May I have...
Is there anybody else who wants to speak?
Anybody else wants to speak? Sorry, people. Councillor Balakov, Leader of the Party.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I rise to support the motion by Councillor Gibson. And I think this is a poignant moment in this council and in this borough. Can I just say that the government talks about devolution, and that's the buzzword at the moment. Devolution means that local authorities should be able to determine their own future. Local residents should be able to determine their future. And I'm a firm believer that this council should support its residents to protect our precious green fields. We're not anti-developers, just don't want them on our green fields. We do need housing, but the idea of a new plan is something we've all got to get involved in. Look at a regeneration type community plan. Look at our town centres. There's an opportunity to regenerate our town centres with some properties in amongst them. I also believe that all members across the floor should be involved, and I'm sure they'll always all want to be, as well as our MP. Members, Greenbelt, and I seem to have been fighting Greenbelt for the last 28 years, so there's an opportunity for us all to instruct our officers, with our help, to identify areas where we believe properties can be built. But do we really need 5,000 houses in a small borough like ourselves? Very unlikely. There are now encouraging sounds coming from government. Boris Johnson keeps on saying, don't build on Greenbelt. And in fact, he even said you shouldn't overdevelop the southeast. Well, that's what's happening at this present time. Michael Gove talks about not pushing numbers onto local authorities. Let them decide the type of numbers they need. And I believe this is an opportunity to do all that. And I believe members working all together with our community, we can achieve an excellent outcome without destroying our green belt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Isaacs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't get the chance at annual council to congratulate you on your selection as mayor, but it's your first meeting, and I can understand where Councillor Gibson's coming from and where people are coming from within this chamber and also outside. I appreciate what is coming forward. I think, as Councillor Blackwell has said, we're a small little county, borough that needs to look very carefully at what we do within our borough. The government threatened intervention on a sound plan. We've had a sound plan, but that's not what our residents want. And I've listened during the campaign in May, April, to hear what they wanted. It's a difficult situation, but I think we're faced with some problems and issues that may arise from withdrawing a local plan. It's not as simple as saying we're not going to develop in Greenfields or Greenbelt, because we know that is not the case. There's going to be circumstances that we're going to have to look at and be careful and considerate to what we actually produce and manufacture from that. However, there are some issues that we need to be aware of when we sit down jointly and come forward with a new plan. I'm looking forward, and I'm glad to hear, and we said it at full council, we want to work together. We don't want to be individuals. We're teamwork. There's 41 of us on the council that need to be working together along with the officers. And we have to appreciate what the officers have done for the last few years. You know, we submitted a plan in 2016 without Greenbelt. That failed. Duty to cooperate. So we need to be aware, and like the leader's saying, we need to be in charge of our own destiny. We need to be very selfish. And I make that point, we do need to be selfish, because otherwise we're going to get taken over by the big boys from Southend, Thurrock, Basildon. You know, we heard last week about a cellar. That's one of the tools that we can use to develop our borough. But there are issues that we need to work quickly with. The government have had the opportunity with Levelling Up to come in and say, you've got a sound plan, small adjustments can be made to it, but we can work with it. They haven't chosen to do that. So with what Councillor Gibson said today and what we're pursuing, I think it's the right way forward. And on that point, I'll just say, I hope and I pray that we can all work together, because if we don't, we will be taken over and we will not exist in future. So let's work together.
Councillor Cole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry if my back's turned to you, but there it is. We are here tonight in this historical moment, a moment that puts this council on a different path. We are not here to discuss Cala or Oikos terminals, or infrastructure, doctors' surgeries, or new schools tonight. Those matters will be talked about at a later date. We are here to talk about the local plan and to withdraw the previous plan, to authorise the officers to start work immediately on a new local plan. I want to assure the residents that this will be a resident-based local plan. And when we hold our meetings, we will invite residents to be playing their part in helping us shape this borough and to deliver a plan that benefits us all and saves our precious green belt. I would like to take this opportunity and offer my full support to Ian Butt and Amanda Parrott, who have come under immense pressure, and the flack that they have taken is astonishing. Ian Butt was brought into this council to deliver this council a local plan. This plan has been found to be sound by the inspector, and if this council tonight agrees that we stop this plan and authorises the council to start work on a new plan that represents the wishes of the residents of Castle Point, then we will need Ian Buck's experience, knowledge and the understanding of the feelings of the borough. The reason of this meeting to be called so urgently is because this plan is a living document that gives weight for all developers to use in the destruction of our greenbelt. And even though this plan is on pause, it can still be used by developers to build on greenbelt sites identified in the plan. Just last night, H20, a site which is identified in the local plan, has been discussed at the Development Management Committee. This is why this motion that Councillor Gibson has just read to you is probably the most important motion that this council has ever faced. Since the elections in May, meetings have been going on all the time. Just on Friday, the leader and myself, with the MP for Castle Point, together with the leader of the Conservative Party, Ian Butt, and Mr Rob Tyndall, CEO of Castle Point, in the preparation of a new local plan being brought forward and the likelihood of intervention from the government. I've had meetings with very active and concerned residents as well, along with other councillors and the leader. While this plan is still living and the sites that we class as greenbelt that have been identified in the plan, developers will use that. We must throw out this previous plan. There is an alternative to this plan. It is a plan that earmarks every brownfield site in the borough. It is about using our initiative. It is about regenerating our high streets, tapping into government funds for levelling up, maximising our brownfield sites, but most importantly, it's about listening to the people's wishes. We are under no government whip. We are controlled by the people. We're controlled by the people. We have had 4 plans that have come forward to this council. 4 plans that have not been adopted by this council. We have a wealth of knowledge that is available to this council, and it is this knowledge that we will use to produce a sound local plan that will enable us to deliver a strategically sound plan that meets the government's requirements. But most importantly, members, it is now time to stop this political shenanigans. It is the time of the people. I've always said that the People's Independent Party will work with any party that benefits this community of Castle Point. And so as the leader of the Canvey Island Independent Party, we have both spoken to the Conservative Party, Godfrey Isaac, who is in full agreement with this. This plan is everything for us. We have a long road ahead of us, and only by working together can we make this happen to produce a sound local plan, a plan that benefits this community. And as I speak now, I can say that the first hurdle has now been accomplished, that the Right Honourable Michael Grove has not contacted this council. So the first part, we're getting off POS. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else? In that case, Councillor Mountford, would you like to sum up your...
No, Councillor Mountford to speak and then Councillor Gibson to sum up.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything further to say. Thank you. We can go to the vote.
Councillor Gibson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to add. I think we've heard from all the leaders and we're all going to work together. So,
I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
Yep.
Councillor, do you want to speak?
Yes,
Please. Sorry.
I voted against the last plan because of serious environmental grounds. Nobody has mentioned anything to address my concerns as yet, such as the study into the extreme microclimate across the borough and other environmental concerns. So, you know, we seem to be going on numbers, but, you know, we are sort of taking one plan, taking another plan, but we haven't considered the elephant in the room, which is in the environment, the microclimate in the borough, extreme weather conditions, and all the other environmental concerns that go basically all the way along the Thames corridor. Until we start to address these, to play around with, well, we're going to do this or we're going to do that, is really putting the cart before the horse as far as I'm concerned.
Councillor Gibson, do you want to wind up, please?
yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like I was saying, I think the 3 leaders of the parties have summed it up nicely. We're going to work together and hopefully get a new local plan done. And I've got no more to add. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a show of hands?
Mr Mayor, we will be taking a named vote.
Can I have 5 councillors to support this?
Yep.
I think that's enough. Councillor Harden. Councillor. Officer Harden. You've been promoted.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Sorry, can I point of information? You've had 3 councillors, leaders of the parties, that have said we're going to work together. What is the point of a named vote? That's just, if people don't want to vote in favour of it, fair enough. A point of information, but it seems ridiculous to me. The 3 leaders have stood up, said we're going to work together. It's just taken democracy out of the way. If you're talking about a named vote, Steve, I'm sorry. I think it's ridiculous. Can I ask you to retract it?
Thank you, Godfrey, Mr Leader of the Conservative Party. The reason why the motion was put forward, the reason why we've asked for a named vote is to show solidarity in this chamber that we are actually all working together. If you feel that that's not comfortable for you, then if you wish to stop it, then you stop it.
The proposal has had more than 5 people standing up and supporting it. So I would like the officer to continue with the name vote, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If members would indicate whether they are for or against the motion when I call their name. Councillor Acott. Councillor Ainsley.
For.
Councillor Anderson.
For with reservations.
Councillor Barton-Brown. Councillor Blackwell.
For.
Councillor Blissett.
For.
Councillor Bowker, sorry. I'll get used to the names eventually. Councillor Campagna.
For.
Councillor Cole.
For.
Councillor Cutler.
For.
Councillor Dixon.
For.
Councillor Edwards.
For.
Councillor Fuller.
For.
Councillor T. Gibson.
For.
Councillor Warren Gibson.
For.
Councillor Gregg.
For.
Councillor Hart.
For.
Councillor Harvey.
For.
Councillor Isaacs.
For.
Councillor McCarthy Calvert.
For.
Councillor McLean.
For.
Councillor May.
For.
Councillor Mountford.
For.
Councillor Chas Montford.
For.
Councillor Mrs Montford.
For.
Councillor Palmer.
For.
Councillor John Payne.
For.
I'm noting that Councillor Janice Payne is not present. Councillor Sage.
For.
Councillor Savage.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Councillor Thomas.
For.
Councillor Thorntons have declared interest. Councillor Tucker.
For.
Councillor Walter.
For, subject to my environmental concerns being addressed.
Councillor Withers.
For.
Mr Mayor, that's unanimous of all members present.
With there being no further business tonight, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you, people.